let's take a look at square roots and quadratic equations. Square roots and cubic equations. There's an order that you need to do your transformations in. The most important one is your reflections. We need to know about reflections first. Then we need to know about any kind of scaling. Then we need to know about any kind of shifts. So I'm going to break this down into its individual pieces. I'm just looking at, this is our parent function. You'll notice that we're always starting with these parent functions, which is why we spent the first few weeks on parent functions. So we've got our equation, and that negative in front, that really means we're going to reflect or flip. And for this, since it's out front, if we look at our table, over the x-axis. So I'm going to think of it as flipping down. Then we've got that plus 2. Now remember, on the inside, it's always going to be side to side, but it's opposite of your intuition. So that plus c, you can see it right here. That means we're going to be going left. So I'm going to be going left, and I'm going to be going left 2 times. And then the last one I have is I've got, it's supposed to be blue. That means it's going to go down. And it's going to go down 3. Now we do our flip first, then we move 2 and 3. So this stays in the same spot for the flip. Guess I should color code. Stays in the same spot, flips down, flips down. Then I think it's going to be easier if I can just show you all at once. Over 2, down 3. That's my new point. Over 2, down 3. That's my new point. Over 2, down 3. It's off the graph, but that's okay. There's no scaling happening because there was just an integer of 1. So I'm just going to do my best to kind of draw a curve that's as similar to that as possible. And then just for clarity, I'll come in and erase my doodles. And that's it. Pretty simple. Now let's look at some that do have some scaling and it's a little bit more complicated. Okay, this is our next equation. So the first thing I need to do, again, is I'm going to be breaking this down. Something that you may not realize you need to do. I picked this problem specifically because you may not realize you need to do this. We're going to break this down like this. That negative in front of the x is actually going to cause us a problem. I've got to pull it out. And this is actually currently incorrect. I've got to erase that line. I can't have the line over the negative and the 6 because it's outside. Now it's important that I pulled that out because that negative right there actually means we're going to do a horizontal flip. But I have to factor it out of the entire inside to know what is happening. So we're going to break each piece of this down. First of all, the 2. The 2 means it's going to get 2 times taller. So it's getting scaled taller. That negative, that means it's going to flip. And in this case, it's going to flip that way. Inside, flip over the y-axis. Remember, your vertical axis is your y-axis. So this curve is going to flip that way. The -1 is inside again. So remember, that's left to right. It's actually going to go right 1. And then that 6 just means we're going to go down 6. So that's quite a lot of things all at the same time. I'm going to get rid of the chart because it's going to actually be in the way. So let's start with, remember we're going to start with any kind of flip first, then we scale, then we shift. Now the flip and the scale doesn't matter which one goes first, but I'm going to keep it in the same order just for continuity's sake. So first I'm going to flip it, and I'm not flipping it down, I'm flipping it sideways. So reflecting right across this y-axis here. We're flipping it, like putting a mirror right there. So this is at 4, so we're over 4 up 2. So we're going to go negative 4 up 2. We're going to go 9 up 3. 9 up 3. Okay? So if I was just doing the flip, that's what my graph would look like. But we've got to add in all the other things. So now we need to make it twice as tall. Okay? So instead of being at, twice as tall as 0 is still at 0. So that's not going to move. But twice as tall as 2, we're now at 4. Twice as tall as 3, we're now at 6. And I can't quite draw that. There's not enough room on my graph. But that would look something like this. So we're getting tall faster. Then we've got to shift to the right one and down 6. I like to do those all at once. It's just easier for me. I'll use blue for both of those. So this is going to go to the right one, down 6. That's my new home. That's my new home right there. Then I've got at negative 4, we're at positive 4. So we're going to go to the right one, down 6. That's my new home. And this one over here, this dot, which correlates to this dot, right? We used to be at negative 9, 3, but then we had to go up twice as tall. So we should be at negative 9, 6. And that's a little off the charts. But when we come down 6, we'll just be at 1. And then we'll be, and right 1. So instead of at negative 9, we're now at 8. And I put all these points in the same spot, which is making it very hard to see. Let me clean that up a little bit. There we go. All right, so we're at 8 because we went right 1 and we're at 1. That's my graph. I now have to draw the curve. I'm going to do my best. That's as good as the curve as I can do. And that's what I'm looking for. So the trickiest part here was knowing to factor out that negative sign. Okay, let's go on to cubic roots. Same concept. We're going to break this down into the various transformations. So let's just look at each one individually. We've got a negative in front, so that means we're going to flip. Sorry. We're going to flip. And we're going to flip over the x-axis. So in this case, we're going to be flipping top to bottom. We've got that negative 4 on the inside. Again, that's inside. So we're going to be going to the right 4. And then we're going to be going up 1. So let me see if I can... I'm going to see if I can show you how I would do this. So I'm going to take that graph. Now I've made a copy of this graph, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it vertically. Boom, flipped it vertically. Then I'm going to move it. I'm going to move it right 4 up 1. Right 4 up 1. I'll try to make it centered for you. And that's it. Simple as that. Now if you're doing it, I know that mine's not quite perfect. Kind of see I'm trying. but it's as good as I could do. What you want to do is just move these points. So if I flip it down, so if I take this point and flip it down, move it right 4 and up 1, hey, look, that's just where we are. Flip it up, right 4 up 1, hey, that's just where we are. Flip it up, right 4 up 1, same thing. Flip it down, right 4 up 1, that's just where we are. That's really it. Now, if you're anything like me, more examples is better. So this is our last example. Let's take a look at this. Now, this is different because it has the fraction in there. So let me show you how to do this. Let me pause. I want to let me pause. I don't want to exit, I want to pause. Okay, so let me walk you through this. Again, we need to identify all the different things that are happening. So you got to pay attention. That's a 0.5. That's the same thing as a 1/2, and that's going to be scale. So a scalar, it's going to get half as tall because it's on the outside. Now this part's a little tricky. The 3 is not tricky. That just means up 3. But this 2 take away x, I've got to rewrite that so that x is in the front and x is positive. So I'm gonna flip the direction. I can do that, and then I'm gonna take a negative out. So I'm really thinking of this problem as 1/2 cubic root of cubic root of negative x minus 2, close parentheses, and then plus 3 on the outside. So this means we're going to flip, and this means we're going to be going right 2. So we're going to be going that way too, and we're going to be flipping over the y-axis. So we're flipping side to side. That's a lot of things happening. We've got a scale, we've got a flip, we've got a shift, we've got another shift. That's a lot that's happening. So let's break it down one piece at a time. I'm always going to start. So sorry, my allergies are killing me today. I'm always going to start with my flip. Now in this case, we're flipping side to side, so I want to pick the horizontal one. Now I do need to select what I'm going to flip. So I've got a copy of the graph in green. It's not a perfect copy, but it'll work. And I flipped it. So I flipped it horizontally. You can see this has moved here, this has moved here, this has moved here. Then what we're going to do is scale it. Now scaling, we need to make it half as tall. So this needs to come down to here. Now I can break this, and I can actually make it percent. And I'm going to make the height 50%. So now it's the appropriate scale. Now what I'm going to do is just move this right here. So we're looking at the graph. We've now flipped it, and it's half as tall. Then we've got to move it both to the right and up 3. So I'm going to zoom into the center. I'm going to move it to the right. How many to the right? I don't remember. 2. 2 to the right. And then up 3. So that is pretty close. Now I know that you guys are not going to be using software to manipulate it like this. So let me walk you through if you don't have it. But I do think it's easier to see it something clean like that. So if we don't have all that software, that's fine. Let's break it down and take it piece by piece. So what we've got is we know we're doing these following things. We're going to scale, so it's half as tall. We know we're going to flip from left to right. We know we're going to move right twice. We know we're going to go up. Sorry, that's not supposed to be R. That's supposed to be a 3. We're going to go up 3. I did it wrong twice. Neither of those are right. That's supposed to be a 2. Two. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with the flip. So this is going to come here. That's at 8. 8. Those are my dots that I'm starting with. Then I need them to be half as tall. So this is going to come down to this is my new dots. Half as tall. Just taking, instead of being at -2, it's at -1. Instead of at -1, it's at -1/2. Instead of at +1, it's at +1, it's at 1/2. Instead of +2, it's at 1. Then I'm going to shift them. Right 2, up 3. And I'm going to grab another color just because there's too many things going on. Right 2, up 3. Right 2, up 3. From here, right 2, up 3. That's my center. Right 2, up 3. Right 2, up 3. Nope, nope, I did it from the wrong one. I need to do it from this one. Right 2, up 3. Right 2, up 3. It's a half. It's got to be at the half. So then I draw my curve. Did we go from here? Right 2, up 3? We did not. And that's why it's important. I mean, it's just kind of a mess when I try to draw it. But you can see, let me move that layer down. I don't know if you can see, but when I take it off, it's over the top of it. It's not a beautiful drawing, but it's there. That's it, guys. Good job.